The moment she said, "Don't go yet, we should test it," I forgot how to breathe. I was standing in my boss's bedroom at nearly 9 at night, surrounded by the smell of fresh wood, polished leather, and rain tapping against the enormous windows. I had spent 3 days building her custom bed, and now the woman everyone in the company called the Ice Queen was looking at me with an expression I had never seen before. Not anger. Not authority. Something softer. Something dangerously close to vulnerability. Before we go any further, if stories about unexpected love, second chances, and people discovering the hearts hidden behind their walls touch you, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. Because sometimes the person we least expect can become the reason we believe in second chances again. My name is Daniel, and I never imagined that building a bed could change my life. I worked as a furniture craftsman for a small luxury interior company. I wasn't rich, famous, or particularly impressive. I was just good with my hands. My father had taught me woodworking before he passed away, and every piece I created carried a little piece of him. He used to tell me that a strong piece of furniture wasn't held together by nails alone. It needed patience, balance, and care. At the time, I thought he was talking about wood. Years later, I realized he had been talking about people. My newest assignment was for Victoria Hale, the 36-year-old CEO of the company that had hired us to renovate her penthouse. Everyone knew Victoria. She was brilliant, intimidating, and almost impossible to impress. Employees lowered their voices when she walked past. Executives twice her age carefully measured every word around her. I had met her only twice. The first time, she inspected a dining table I had built and simply said it was acceptable. The second time, she looked at a cabinet I had restored and told my supervisor that whoever had made it understood craftsmanship. That was the closest thing to praise anyone seemed to receive from her. Then came the bed. It was a massive custom design made from dark walnut, with curved edges, hidden storage, and a headboard carved with delicate geometric patterns. Victoria had designed it herself but couldn't find anyone capable of turning the drawing into reality. My supervisor volunteered me. For 3 exhausting days, I worked inside her penthouse while she buried herself in meetings downstairs. I noticed little things I wasn't supposed to notice. A framed photograph of Victoria with her parents. A collection of old books. A piano covered in dust. And on her bedside table, a tiny photograph of a smiling man. On the third evening, I was tightening the final screws when Victoria appeared in the doorway. She looked exhausted. Not powerful. Not untouchable. Just tired. She asked whether the bed was finished, and I told her it was. She walked closer, ran her fingers across the smooth walnut, and quietly thanked me. Then she asked if I was leaving immediately. I said I should. That was when she stopped me. "Don't go yet, we should test it." My mind immediately raced in the wrong direction. I must have looked so shocked that the corner of her mouth lifted into the smallest smile. She explained that she meant testing the bed structure, not anything else. She wanted to make sure there were no creaks or weaknesses before the renovation company signed off. Embarrassed, I sat carefully on one side while she sat on the other. Nothing happened. No creak. No movement. The bed was perfect. But neither of us stood up. Outside, the rain became heavier. The city lights shimmered against the glass, and for the first time, Victoria looked less like my boss and more like a woman who had been carrying something unbearably heavy for far too long. She told me the photograph on her bedside table was of her younger brother, Ethan. He had died several years earlier after a long illness. The bed was the first thing she had bought for herself since his death because she had decided she needed to stop living in the past. I didn't know what to say. So I told her about my father. I told her how he had taught me to work with wood, how he used to sit beside me for hours, correcting my mistakes without making me feel ashamed of them. I told her that after he died, I kept building furniture because stopping would have felt like losing him twice. Victoria listened without interrupting. Then she admitted something that changed the way I saw her. Everyone thought she was cold because she didn't care. The truth was that she cared too much. She had learned to build walls before life could break through them. For the next several weeks, our relationship changed in small ways. She still remained my boss, and I remained careful about boundaries, but something warm had begun to exist between us. She started asking about my work. Sometimes she stayed in the workshop after everyone else left. She would watch me shape wood, and I would tell her about the different grains and finishes. One evening, she brought me coffee. I stared at the cup. She said it was just coffee, but the smile on her face made it feel like something more. Then trouble arrived. My supervisor informed me that Victoria's company was cutting contractors, and my position was likely to disappear. I wasn't surprised. I had rent to pay and my mother's medical bills to help with, and suddenly the future looked frightening again. I decided to leave before Victoria could hear about it. But she found me packing my tools. She asked why I hadn't told her. I told her I didn't want special treatment. Her expression changed. She said she wasn't offering charity. She was offering me an opportunity. Victoria had secretly been planning to open a private furniture studio, and she wanted me to lead the craftsmanship team. She said she had watched me work and realized that my talent deserved a place where it could grow. I refused at first. Not because I didn't want it. Because I was afraid. Afraid that accepting her help would change what existed between us. She stepped closer and told me something I would never forget. She said people often confuse needing someone with being weak. But sometimes allowing another person to help you is the strongest thing you can do. That night, I finally understood why she had asked me not to leave on the night we tested the bed. She hadn't really been testing the bed. She had been testing whether she could trust someone again. Months passed. The studio opened. We built beautiful furniture together, but more importantly, we built something neither of us had expected. Victoria began laughing again. I began dreaming again. We learned each other's fears, habits, favorite songs, and quiet moments. One evening, after closing the studio, Victoria handed me a small wooden box. Inside was an old photograph of my father that I had once shown her. I had thought it was lost. She had found it inside one of my old workshop notebooks and carefully restored the damaged edges. She told me that my father had been right. Strong things needed care. Then she looked at me and admitted that she had fallen in love with the man who built her bed, not because he built something beautiful, but because he had reminded her that a broken heart could still become a home. I didn't answer immediately. I simply held her hand. Because sometimes the most powerful love stories don't begin with fireworks. Sometimes they begin with two lonely people sitting on opposite sides of a newly built bed, both pretending they're only testing its strength. And perhaps that was the real lesson my father had tried to teach me all those years ago. A home isn't made from wood. It is made from trust. From patience. From forgiveness. From the courage to let someone stay when every instinct tells you to push them away. Victoria had spent years building walls around her heart. I had spent years carrying mine quietly. And somehow, without either of us planning it, we had found the courage to open the door. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes love can bring people back from their darkest moments, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness for more stories about hope, love, and second chances. And before you leave, comment, "Let love in," if you believe that sometimes the right person doesn't come into your life to change who you are, they come to remind you who you were always meant to be. Because sometimes, the strongest thing two wounded hearts can do is simply decide not to leave.